right. Welcome to our podcast. Today we're going to be talking about UNIV 101, specifically the ways that BYU helps us to become better people and achieve the goals that we have in our lives.
Super excited. I'm Azer White. If you're from my UNIV class, you'll probably recognize me. I'm here with my buddy.
And I'm Ben Cutler. Um, we actually met in high school in chemistry class.
And now we have rekindled because we both found each other in chemistry class. So we quickly began studying together, and it's been fun since then. So first off, why did we choose this format? I think there's a power in podcasts. I love podcasts, so it's gonna be fun. It was fun to set up and put everything together.
It was we pretty much. It looks like a tornado came through the activity room at Heritage,
That's
but we
right.
have our studio set up now. Well, today we're gonna be talking about three questions. So, what's our first question we got, Azer?
Yeah. Start off. We're starting off with why are we here at BYU, and we'll go into the specifics of that question, like what did the application process look like? When did you realize you're supposed to be here at BYU? But I guess just right now, like give me a summary. Like why are you here in BYU in the activity room in Provo, Utah, right now?
I guess first of all, we're about at the end of our first semester here, so we're kind of just getting to the end of our first little taste of what being a BYU student is, being a Cougar. Um, I think there was a lot of lead up to being here. I always knew I wanted to come to BYU. My family's definitely you know, a
You,
BYU
you
family.
guys bleed blue?
We bleed blue. We're at all the football games.
Is that a dominant trait? Does it get passed on the?
I think it's definitely dominant.
Yeah, that's right. Oh.
Utah's recessive. I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cell bio, we do cell bio together as well.
Yeah,
My mom, she went to the Y, and my dad didn't, so I'd agree that it is dominant.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been proven this year in the Holy War. So, but yeah, I truly wanted to come here to find, I guess, not only what my profession would be, but also like what God wanted me to do with my life. Because I know that this is like Jesus Christ's school, and people that come here can really find who they are and experience lots of new different things.
Yeah.
So
I found that my experience was super similar. For me, when I was in my senior year of high school, I felt my spirituality grow a lot. And so because of that, I knew like when it came time to be applying for colleges, I knew that BYU is definitely a goal for me, but I didn't have the greatest grades at that point. But I really wanted to come here to BYU, and I knew it was this school. So when it came time to apply, like I said, I come from a family that has gone to the U. My family loves the U. I love the U still, but I knew that this is the Lord's university, and this is really where I needed to be to continue to grow my spirituality, especially once I had come back from my mission. Um, so obviously, like receiving the acceptance letter, that was super exciting. Um, but yeah, so let's see. One of the next questions that we have. Okay, what's one challenge that taught you something about why you're here? Or what is one moment from the semester that made you think, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be?
that's a great question. I think when I think of challenges, probably chemistry 105 is the first thing to come to mind because that's been a killer class. I know, like at the beginning of the semester, they would say there are no like weeder courses or like these hard classes that try to just kind of, I don't know. It ended up feeling kind of discouraging.
Yeah,
I felt
they
discouraged for
try and
sure.
like push you away from that. If you can't make it through this class, then maybe you should consider a different path.
Right, because it was really hard, especially at the beginning. But I'd say just like throughout the course of the semester, I've gotten better at just organizing my time, managing chemistry,
Yeah,
and I've actually started to take college a lot more seriously. I think because of that class, it's really helped me to kind of have that better perspective. So
That actually reminds me of this the last talk that we were assigned to read this last week. It talked about like taking responsibility for our own learning, and I definitely feel that with Chem 105. It's normally for me going, you go to class, and if you understand the material well enough, then you'll go home, do the homework pretty easy. You show up to school the next day, life goes on. I found with Chem 105 especially, it's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge when I go to class. I do my best to pay attention. It doesn't always happen, but I do my best. And then if I don't understand it, or even if I feel that I understand the content, I go home, try the homework, and it feels like I'm making new ground on something again. Like I don't understand. And so that was really challenging at first because I felt that I understood something so deeply, that I'd be able to just buzz through the homework, and then I get to the homework and it's totally different. And so
yeah,
I found a lot of the work is done at home, but really it's that principle of we are taking BYU is providing us the opportunity to learn for ourselves. They're not just going to give it to us on a platter. We have to go search and find. So while it's true that we enter to learn, we're entering to begin the education, and really we're learning how to learn. And I think that's
I like
especially
that.
true with the Weeder courses,
Yeah.
which I know Justin Collins, Professor Collins, is listening to this saying you're trying to get rid of. I promise you that Chem 105 students will really appreciate if that got to the end of the row, if the water got to the end of the row on that one. It has been a challenging course. Um, let's see. For me, I think one of the moments that just clicked, aha, I'm where I'm supposed to be. It hasn't been like one specific moment, but there's been spiritual impressions while I'm walking between classes and I'm just looking at the scenery. Like, there's that spot like the west
Mhm.
side of the library, and you're walking south, kind of. If you were
Yeah.
to walk towards the Marb, like where the
Yeah.
chemistry building,
Yeah.
I remember walking through
Mhm.
like the flowers and the trees, and thinking to myself, seeing the backdrop of the mountains, this is where I'm supposed to be, and the spirit confirmed that this is exactly where I need you. And so, coming off of a mission, you know where you're on a mission. You know you're where the Lord wants you to be. The Lord has placed you in a specific area to work with these specific people. I think BYU has been just an extension of that. Like, I'm here doing what the Lord needs me to do right now in order to fulfill my life's mission and help bless others continually.
I really like that. I think what we've talked about so far kind of goes along with the intellectually enlarging aspect of a BYU education. 'Cause like you said, we actually have to do our part to get that education. That's what higher education is it's up to us whether we actually get it. And so I really like that story about how you really felt like this was where you're supposed to be. I think my moment of knowing I was supposed to be here was, I'd say over the course of the first few weeks. I just felt like I was really connecting with a lot of people in a way that I wasn't able to do before, I guess, before my mission.
Yeah,
And so I kind of picked up that ability, and then I got here and I felt like I was just like among my people, if that makes sense.
you come home from the culture of the mission, and you're with a lot of people who have just done the exact same thing.
Exactly. A bunch of
Yeah,
people that have had to overcome talking to people in the street, just talking to random strangers, and then suddenly you have a whole bunch of people that have just done that. And so I just felt really at home with a bunch of people, and it was kind of encouraging. It was
yeah.
like a motivation booster for me.
And we were just talking about this before the cameras were turned on. How in Provo, or back in the mission, you're some white guy and you're speaking Spanish to these people, and you connect with them and they think it's really special. And now you come to Provo and you're speaking Spanish to more white guys. It's about all you have to talk to. But I think it does provide like a really cool connection because you come from these very similar backgrounds, different missions, of course. I mean, you and I were half a world away, but we were doing the same work.
Yeah.
Um, so this next section, the overall question that we're trying to answer is why do I hope, or what who do I hope to become? Um, and I think off off the bat, off rip, we can just call out what part of the aims and standards this is, and that is uh, character building and spiritually strengthening.
Mhm.
I don't know. Have there been any moments here that you felt your testimony, like specific moments that you felt your testimony has grown?
I think a big pattern of having your testimony grow is going through trials for sure. And I've noticed the difference that prayer makes when you do it and you ask for help with your studies.
Mm.
When I pray before I do my chemistry homework, I'm like, please just help me to like get a good rhythm going and get through this assignment and not have me get stuck and get confused. And I really feel that just guiding hand of God, just telling me little things like, don't forget like the negative sign here, or like,
Oh my.
like this is the equation you need to use. And like, I've really felt that, just like that help. And as long as I put forward my effort, he sees that and he's so willing to just step in. And so I think my testimony has been strengthened when I've really gotten beaten down by
Yeah.
those assignments. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is college. Like I can't be messing around. And then I pray about it and I say, I really need your help. And I realized that I was kind of neglecting that part that I shouldn't have been neglecting.
Yeah.
And then he steps in. And so that's been a big thing for me, is just trusting in God.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think one of the things that I've noticed about myself in terms of building my character has been how much BYU has been able to expose my own weaknesses. Like on the mission, there's something. I mean, you do the same thing for 2 years, right? And you grow in, especially like chapter 6, Christ-like attributes. You grow in your ability to talk to people, but here on campus, learning at BYU, you have to apply yourself, like you said, it's in your own hands. And I found that time was a big problem for me. You come from a mission where you've got a companion who keeps you accountable all the time. You plan all of your days. You have a game plan from 6:30 a.m. to what you're going to be doing to 10:30 p.m. when you go to bed. And then coming here, that I had more freedom to choose what
Mhm.
I wanted to do throughout the day. And I found early on that was a weakness that has been able to become a strength. My as I've struggled with different homework assignments being due, sometimes you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to be social that day or on time,
Mhm.
with
Right.
your
Yeah.
assignments.
The
Um,
trade-off, right?
exactly. And being able to plan that and execute the plan and be really conscious of time, I've noticed a huge change in myself. I'm no longer accountable to a companion, but I'm more accountable to myself and to the Lord, and that I am completing my assignments on my schedule, but I have to plan correctly. And when it comes time to do those things on the schedule, like I have to do them. So if I planned to do my UNIV 101 assignment at 5 o'clock with Ben and make a
Mhm.
podcast, like we have to be working at 5. That's a huge change. Brigham Young University has taught me how to do well in crunch time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me actually of a quote from Wendy W. Reeves. I think this was the first devotional of the
Yeah,
year. She said, don't be a student, don't just be a student at
at
BYU,
BYU.
be a student of BYU. So I think there's the defining difference there, is that, and I think you see it in everyone here. Like in high school, sometimes you have friends that you can't really study with because they'll just goof off.
Yeah.
But BYU is different, and you can work with people and get assignments done. I
I'd
really,
say there's a good amount of goofing off too, but
of course,
there's a balance for sure.
that makes sense with our
Yeah.
with our age group. But I think that's just something that you can definitely see here in everyone. So.
What you commented on was something that I wanted to actually highlight was that talk by Wendy Reese. She talked about being a student at BYU, or not being a student at BYU, but being a student of BYU. And I think that highlights the most. If you read into the rest of the talk, obviously she's talking about becoming social and being part of the life here at BYU. But really, it's about growing spiritually. Being a student of BYU versus at BYU is the difference between going to any other college and coming to the Lord's university. We aren't just expected to grow secularly or learn academically, um, and be impressive in those areas, but we're also called to grow as disciples of Jesus Christ and
Yeah.
share that light with everyone else. And that double heritage that's been talked about all semester, and will be continued to talk about throughout the, I think, the presidency of Shane Reese, President Shane Reese. That's going to be a highlight, is growing not just academically but spiritually.
Hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I'd say I like that we're comparing this a lot to our missions, because a mission, that's such a transforming experience. And like the question here is, it's like, what do we hope to become while we're here? So I think we're going to keep referencing our missions for the rest of this podcast.
It's very
But
possible.
what else have we got to,
What is
what other
the
questions?
quote from Brigham Young in Preach My Gospel? It said, it, "More important than what you do is who you are and who you're becoming," or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm
something
paraphrasing,
like that.
but it's been a while.
It's been 5 months.
Yeah. Okay, for this next question, how can I, or I'd ask you, how can you serve others? Some sub questions that we came up with earlier on. So, what does service mean to you right now? Who has served you this semester in a way that has impacted you? But
Yeah.
you take it where you want.
Honestly, I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is just being there for people. Um, because everyone has their days that go well and their days where they're really discouraged. And so I just find being there for people, and trying to be a little bit discerning
Hmm.
when I see them, just asking them how they're doing, and um, just showing that I'm there for them, like Jesus Christ would do. So that's one way that you could serve. There are always opportunities outside where, the classic, someone like drops their books on the ground and you run and pick them up for them. Like,
And later on, you find out that's your future
that's your
wife.
wife.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
that's very BYU.
It happens. It
It
definitely, it
does
probably has
happen.
happened.
It has
Yeah.
happened here for sure.
Yeah. And so those opportunities definitely come up, but I don't think we should like say, oh yeah, that's the only way I can serve. Right.
And that's definitely not the only reason you're serving, right? It's just to
Right.
find. Okay,
Well, yeah.
it plays a factor though. That's right.
It's always a factor.
Here at BYU, it is always a factor, and you
Of
can you
course.
can put that on record. I actually love this question. That is totally related to what we're talking about. It says, "What talents do you have that help you right now serve people here on campus?"
Yeah. I have a talent for listening to people, what they're really saying. And
Yeah, you mentioned that with the discernment.
yeah, I believe I have that gift of discernment to help other people. Um, I also am able to help people to understand things. I'm able to explain things in a way that is easy to be understood.
Yeah.
So those are two talents that I feel that I have, that I've used to help bless others.
Yeah, I think those are so important. Because I was going to say something very similar, that I have the ability, the talent to explain things to people, in a way that like all are edified. And it's not a gift of my own, right? It's definitely a gift that comes from the Spirit, and I think
Hmm.
that's why it's so prevalent here at BYU, and that's why I keep referencing this talk that was by President Tanner. It was the last one we were supposed to read, but he talked about how the students also help learn. We help each other out, and I think that's so prevalent here, where um, I can explain something, and because I'm explaining it, I have to make sense of it, and the person who's listening and trying to understand also has to make sense of it. And it reminds me of the scripture. It says that we're all edified because of the
Uh-huh.
Spirit, and so that gift of the Spirit is literally edifying all of us in our learning. And obviously we know it's Brigham Young. He's the one who famously said that the alphabet, we shouldn't teach the alphabet or the times tables without the Spirit of the Lord. And so I think that's what makes BYU such a powerful university, is because the Spirit is here to magnify that effort of ours to grow, not just intellectually. but spiritually.
Absolutely. I was just looking up a
Hmm.
scripture in Doctrine and Covenants. It's Doctrine and Covenants 84 106.
Hmm.
I think this one comes to mind because going with this question, if we want to become someone, we have to help others along the path too.
Yeah,
I mean, who didn't demonstrate that better than Jesus Christ?
you reached out all the time.
Exactly. He had anywhere from 12 people following him to like multitudes of thousands.
Yeah.
And he was being an example for them always. Anyway, DNC 84 106, it's a pretty well known one. It says, and if any man among you be strong in the spirit, let him take with him that is weak, that he may be edified in all meekness, that he may become strong also. I think that scripture does a really good job of just kind of summarizing that whole culture that we have here at BYU, which is help others, lift them up. Just think about how much people sacrifice to come here. Some people live in, different countries. They
Yeah,
come all the way to Provo and they're probably pretty scared.
absolutely.
They're going through all these new things. Some of them don't even really speak like English that well.
Yeah,
And so they're having to, they're really like condescending but they can rise up from that for sure.
yeah. And I love that. It's a great equality here is that we have that culture, that community that wants to help others. I've said that, I've mentioned that in my University 101 class where I feel that in the world, and I say the world apart from members of the church, but in the world, you have this idea, or there exists this idea of, in order for me to do well, I have to excel above the rest. But I think more appropriate, or what we see here at BYU, is in order for me to excel, between me and God, because that's the relationship that's most important, I get to help everyone around me. And by helping everyone around me in the same way that Christ would, I'm becoming more like Christ and therefore progressing. And it's a totally different focus. I love that about being here at BYU, is that it's a team effort, right? Unless the only time that there's an exception to that is if everyone on the Chem 105 exam is getting an 87% and someone gets 100, so the teacher can't scale it, because in that case he's not being a team player.
Yeah.
That's the only
So
exception.
it seems like maybe there's a little bit of bitterness there.
No, no. But if I ever find out who you are, we're gonna have a chat.
We're gonna have a long talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah. I get what you're saying. It's a team effort.
yeah,
Absolutely is.
I love that. We're all a team here. So to wrap this all up, tying it all in a bow, we just have a couple questions more. Looking back at the semester, what's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself?
Wow. That's a big question.
Yeah,
Um, I'll be really honest on this one. I think that one of my weaknesses is when there's something that's stressing me out, I'm gonna try to look for distractions.
hmm,
I try to avoid like just facing it head on,
hmm,
even though that's absolutely what I should be doing. And so throughout the semester, I've struggled with like what they call doom scrolling,
yeah,
watching or getting sucked into YouTube videos that are way too long.
yeah,
And those have really had a negative effect on what I could have achieved if I hadn't had those. But I'm grateful that I did because I've been able to overcome them and going along with the being lifted up together with other people.
yeah,
I've talked to my roommates. We've made goals to leave behind Instagram, doom scrolling, all that, and we've achieved it. Like I've finally been able to kind of control that.
yeah,
And so I know that like in future semesters, I'm going to be able to also harness that self discipline that I've developed. And yeah, I think that's probably how I'd answer that question.
yeah. No, and that is super. I see that all the time. I was gonna make a joke about distracting yourself on mutual, but I think I'm projecting it. Maybe imposing my own.
Yeah,
Oh man.
well, a little mutual doesn't hurt.
A little mutual doesn't exist here at Provo. There's always
No,
that itch in the back of your mind.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I had an answer, but it's left, and so maybe it makes me think that maybe that wasn't the right answer. I'd say something I've learned about myself is same. It's very similar. It's the stewardship with time. It's that we've been given this privilege to take courses here at the Lord's University, and if I'm not excelling at them, if I'm not doing the very best that I can, it's I'm not just letting myself down. I'm letting down the Lord in some sense, and
Yeah.
um, I try. I normally have a pretty carefree attitude, but there's a pressure that comes with that knowledge.
Mhm.
And I feel in a lot of ways there are things that I could have been done. There are things that I could have planned for better. Um, that I wish I would have. I wish I would have taken better notes. Those kinds of things. Because ultimately, like a good grade is important. It's one way that we look at what I've been able to learn.
Quantify
Yeah, we quantify
our
exactly. We try to
effort.
put a number to it, but
Yeah.
ultimately, what's most important is that is what I have learned. Right, that I'm here to
Yeah.
gain an education, not get good grades.
Mhm.
That is important. Not just pass tests. That is important, but the education's the most important part, and that's what ultimately the Lord is donating lots of tithing money towards is my education.
Yeah. No, that's true. There was something my bishop told me once.
Hmm.
This was right when I got back from my mission. He pulled me in for an interview and just he said, Ben, I know how you feel coming off the mission. It's like you were doing everything for everyone else, and now you're here, and it's like it's time to focus on you, and that feels uncomfortable and weird.
Hmm.
But he said, when I felt that way, he said, I started going to school and I was praying super hard about it. And God told me, I am giving you time to work on yourself so that you can better serve my children in a future day. And that just made me feel the spirit so strong. I
Yeah,
was like, he loves his children so much that he's raising up some of them to have these talents that we wouldn't have otherwise, so we can better serve other people in these specialized capacities. So
I
I
love that.
I think BYU is absolutely a training grounds for people that serve, which I guess is that one aim, to become disciples for life that go out and serve in the world.
Yeah, go forth and serve. That means we hit all the aims. So
Yeah,
pretty pretty awesome between all the questions.
nailed that.
Before we wrap up, I did want to ask one more question. What was it apart from devotionals? Obviously, the spirit's really cool, but like, what was the biggest like BYU? I'm at BYU, and you're enjoying the college life. What was something maybe that happened, like a dance or a party that you went to? Like, what was something that made you feel like BYU spirit?
Dude, absolutely the Utah game. So like a
That's what
hundred
I was gonna
percent,
say.
100%. That was easy.
Yeah,
No, when we pulled out that win against Utah,
yeah,
I was really feeling it. I was like, dude, Utah, like God is pouring out the blessings right now on his
yeah,
army. And there were like apostles there too. I
yeah,
was like, dude, we got like all of like God's army here. And I just felt like, and especially when everyone just started pouring out onto the field, it absolutely was discouraged. But by the time it was like hopeless, I was like, fine, I guess I'll go storm the field.
yeah.
Went out there and I saw C. Shane Reese just like bodies their
Yeah,
big.
but sure.
I saw that and I was like, dude, this is the best. I was like, I feel so happy to be here.
And I read stuff online about people expressing some disappointment. Oh, you beat Utah in your own stadium. Why are you storming your own field?
Yeah.
And I think people don't understand how important, not just important to us, that game was. I love, like I said, I love Utah, but that was such a big moment to be able to say, like, I'm going to BYU, and I'm on the winning team, not just God's winning team, but I'm on the winning team.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so I didn't actually get to go to the game in person.
Hmm.
I wish I didn't buy a rock pass, so next year for sure we'll be getting a rock pass.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I was watching it at my dad's house, and I remember we I was surrounded by four Ute fans, and then I'm the only one wearing blue. And when we won that game, the only two things I could say was like, "Heck yeah!" and you should have kicked your field goals. Yeah, that would have been a different game if they would have cooked some field goals.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I got to come back and sneak into the stadium and say hi to Bear Bachmeyer, so it was pretty cool. I'll throw in
Yeah.
the picture right here. So
There it
that's me and
is.
Bear.
Wonderful picture.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun. It's been cool to reflect on this last semester, especially the things that we've learned in University 101.
This has been good. I've really enjoyed this, just like sharing what we've learned and like reflecting deeply on these things.
This is like this is totally off script, but it actually has been like super enjoyable to talk about the different things that we were able to learn, and I actually have I've definitely felt the spirit, not just the school spirit,
Absolutely.
but the Lord's spirit as we've been able to talk, and so this has been pretty fun.
Yeah. Amen.
Hopefully, I'd say next time, until next time, but
Yeah. Who knows?
classes end on Wednesday, so unless you guys got some surprises, I think
Yeah.
this might be a wrap.
Unless this podcast fails, we aren't retaking UNIV.
That's right.
We're probably cutting out that last part so our teacher doesn't see it, right?
No, it's staying in. Hey, Professor Collins.
Absolutely.
All right.
Dr. Martinson, it's been good. All right. Well, I guess we're closing off.
Yeah,
Is that everything?
that's everything.
All right.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. All right. And we'll end it there.